Thank you, Phil. A couple of weeks ago, Jim rang me up and said, would you like to talk at Hope Island? And I said, no thanks, Jim, that's a silly idea. No, I hate talking, and no thanks. And then he said, but what about the New Hope project? And he got me there. It's just such a fabulous, wonderful project. I'll let Georgia show some of the wonderful things with her slides. I'm just going to give more of the statistics that and the background of the New Hope charity. It started many years ago, like in the 2005-2006. It's in Siem Reap in Cambodia, which is the second city of Cambodia. And that is near Angkor Wat, if you know the massive big temples of Angkor Wat. It's a World Heritage Site. One of the young Cambodian men there, called Kemshaw, saw the need to do something to the area that he was involved with. It was an ex-army type of area. The army had left and moved on. There was no more conflict. They left behind lots of women and children. They left behind lots of mines too. People were still being made by the mines with missing arms, missing legs and dying. Left behind diseases too, the tuberculosis and just many of the tropical diseases, but nobody looked after them. So he saw a need, and as a young man he started the school. He thought to start with the students and get them involved. He was doing that, and an Australian lady called Kerry Huntley joined him. And Kerry was over there wanting to do good deeds, saw what Kemshaw was doing, and she moved from what she was doing and joined Kemshaw. So the two of them were going along nicely with a few extra little helpers, and they ran into one day Pat Fleming and Desley Thurtell. So Pat and Desley were members of the Rotary Club of Ashmore, and they were over there having fun, but also looking to see what they could possibly do. Once they found them and they all clicked and just had a wonderful rapport, they decided that they would get involved and that talk to the Rotary Club of Ashmore and see what we could do. So they were so enthusiastic, we said yes, we'll throw our support behind. At this stage they had an old school and a restaurant, which was going along nicely with quite a few volunteers. They wanted something bigger and better, so the Rotary Club of Ashmore said that they would raise up to $30,000 and build a new classroom block of 6 classes. That didn't quite work out because the site where they were was a World Heritage Site from the Angkor Wat and the Apsara area. It slowed until somebody donated money for them to buy land in a new spot. So they bought the land and they actually owned it then. You had to have a Cambodian person involved, so that was Kemshaw and Kerry, and they started the New Hope charity with their own block of land. So by then there was more people interested in it, and the school went ahead. Instead of being just one flat level of 6 classes, it became a 3-storey with 12 classes. The 3 stories that fit on the block. Next to it was a clinic, and the clinic had already been started by Chris Bonner, and Chris Bonner is the brother of Bill Bonner, who was a Rotarian at Stanthorpe. And Chris did this clinic in the name of his wife, who had died many years before. So that moved into the same site, and they also had on the site, Kerry was living there with her orphans, as she called them. Some were real orphans, some were just the parents just disappeared. She had up to about 10 to 12 that she was looking after personally. They have now moved off site to their own area, to their own house, and they've got the clinic and the outreach centre, as they call it, to help look after the people's needs, and a food program. So all of this is on the one site, and it is just fantastic when you see the photos of it. What are we up to? Yes, Rorke's then became involved with it. Rorke's looked at the project, mainly through Pat Fleming. Now Pat Fleming's an accountant. She went over their books. She thought, are we doing this correctly? Is the money going to the right spot? Is it a Rotary project where no money gets siphoned off? And yes, she came back and said, absolutely, definitely. She put it in to Rorke's, and there's a Rorke's program. So if you want to donate to it now, of course, you can donate to Rorke's and get a tax deduction, which can be of some use. The school has a Cambodian curriculum, and it's got, they do English as their main after-school type of thing, computers, and there's the sewing room. There's the Nancy Knowles sewing room. Clinic, I'll give you some of the statistics on that. They've got a restaurant that they use regularly. All the St Stephen's girls and boys ate there nearly every day. We did, the Rotarians from Ashmore and the group that went over. You get other groups that will come past at any time of the day or night, usually organised, because they've got a tourism type area as well. The tuk-tuks that they used are all part of the tourism project that they've got going, and schools and interested people will come through in bus loads and go and eat in their restaurant, and they make money. What they charge is very small, but it doesn't cost them much to make, so that's another thing that they are doing, that's raising money for themselves. They've also got a farm, which hasn't been a huge success yet, but they're still trying to twig it to get the right things to grow. They've got aquaculture, and then fruit and vegetables, and a school at that farm as well. Angkor Wat's close by, floating villages, so if you go over, it's wonderful just to have a look. One of the things that Pat was really thrilled about, before New Hope got involved, was possibly up to 150 deaths a year from this one area called Modal 3, which is sort of a suburb or an area of Siem Reap. At the moment, they estimated it's down to nil. So just by giving them hope and rice and organising their lives a little bit, there's none. No more deaths. 770 enrolments at the school. And this includes 150 adults. So they add on to the children's classes with the skills of computers and sewing. It's about 54% female, 46% male. 6 students are now at university after whatever it is, 5 or 6 years, they've got 6 in university. 280 families are sponsored, and the clinic treats up to 100 people a day in the clinic. So a wonderful little clinic there with a pharmacy as well. Now the ongoing needs, this is the bit that Pat's put in, they need teachers, about 12 a year, $2,000 each. So one teacher earns $2,000, most of them are volunteers, so it's just sort of pocket money for them. They need uniforms, $10 per year for 770 students. Books, teaching requirements, usually about $500 per classroom. If you want to put someone into university, they're looking to get 10 per year at $2,000. So $2,000 to go to university for a year. And if you want to sponsor a family, $40 to $60 a month, or a crisis care, $30 per month. So all of that sort of thing is if you want to donate to it. It's just a wonderful project. So we hope to see some wonderful photos from Georgia, just to see what it's really like. The school is just magnificent once you saw what they were in beforehand. Thank you.
So close to the start of last year, we, at our school, had a note go out saying anybody who wanted to participate in the Cambodia trip and go to an information evening and get all the details. And at the time it just seemed like a lot of fun, and didn't really know too much about the history of the place or anything. But after going there, it wasn't just a really fun experience, it was also really touching, and we really got to have a different perspective on life, and really unforgettable. There was, though, it wasn't just all work and helping out. We did have a little bit of fun while we were over there. We stopped over in Kuala Lumpur to start with. This is us at the Coolangatta Airport, all excited on Boxing Day. Our first stopover was in